And good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me. My name is Zach Allison, the ATS National Account Manager. I work with engineers, architects, and some of the design build contractors all across North America and manage our team that's helping those same types of firms get started on the ATS Spec Tool. If this is your first time joining an ATS University, we host a nearly weekly, usually about 2 or 3 a month, had a little bit of a lull over the summer there, where we have a webinar series, which is going to range from, as we discussed in the kind of pre-show, we may have full-on AIA or ASPE accredited presentations. We may have application deep dives where we are reviewing all the different products that are going into something like an educational facility. Some of the products that we're talking about here would be included in that, but it's going to be more of an overview of all the different products available on the ATS Spec Tool so that you configure them and add them to your projects. And then lastly, my personal favorite is when we dive into really the specifics of a product and a product type. This can be everything from like the pump sizing webinars or the control panel for pumps webinars that we did over the summer. We did a great A.O. Smith water heater sizing presentation. We're setting up another one of those soon. We've had code specifics on like acid resistant products. And then what I think actually is a bit of an underrated product, because a lot of people have it in their mind, that historical experience of going to school, seeing these wash fountains, and they get that stuck in their head. That's the only option out there. But there's been a lot of development in the wash fountain and multi-user lab type approach over the years, really becoming one of the leading design trends, not just in educational, but also commercial. So with me today is one of our manufacturer partners from the Morris Lee team, Jerry Babin. He's used to be an ATS guy, taught me out pretty much everything I know. So I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for him. And in fact, we were talking in the pre-show about supporting him and the local ASPE chapter. If you're in the Greater Toronto area, Jerry's playing a key role in the ASPE Toronto edition and just hosted their golf tournament that we had a lot of fun with. So I guess without any further introduction on that side, I'll pass it over to you, Jerry. What are we looking at today? What are we diving into?
So today we're going to dive into, well, first of all, Zach, thanks for the kind words. I'll add this one note. If any P-Engines out there are looking for your PEO peak hours, and we're still trying to get information from PEO, which has been worse than pulling teeth. If you think this presentation will qualify you for time, please let me know. I'd be happy to fill out a certificate that we've put together, and we can center it around, hey, so 45 minutes or whatever you think this is worth to add towards your peak hours. So my contact info will be on the last slide at the end here. Please reach out to me on that. Again, thanks, Zach.
I forgot to mention that on the Fridays we do send out our ATS University certificate of attendance, which can be used to submit for your hours, whether you're doing PEO or if I know Alberta has a similar program. I think BC does as well. So you'll get that certificate. Our team will be sending that out, and certainly you'll have that available. So thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you again. Okay, so today's topic is, as you mentioned, we all have a preconceived notion of what wash fountains are back in our grade school and high school days. So today's discussion is going to focus on wash fountains and multi-user lavatories. The who, what, where, why, the who, what, where, how, and why we do these things. So with no further holdups, so the brands that we represent that fall under these two categories are both Acorn Engineering and Neo Metro. Materials that are used, the what, either stainless steel or Corterra solid surface, and we still make a Terrazzo wash fountain as well. So we have all three product material types that are used. For manufacturing, the where, it's either City of Industry, California or Tijuana, Mexico, where the molds are cast, whether it's Terrazzo or solid surface, or where fabrication in the case of stainless steel comes in. That's all done in those two particular locations. The how, again, fabricated steel. We have a a group of incredibly talented welders that put all of our products together. And then also the molds that we use for Corterra, as well as Terrazzo. So they're all poured-in molds, ground and polished to smooth finishes, with multiple colors as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And the why. So multi-user wash fountains reduce the size of the footprint using traditional vitreous china lavatories, like an American Standard Lucerne, for example, requires a 21.25 inch width and an 18.25 inch depth off the wall, plus the space between users. So when you've got, based on installing 4 wall-hung lavs, you're looking at a minimum of 120 inches width, plus your 18 front to back. Based on a 30-inch minimum width from center line of one lav to the next, is where that 120 comes from. You also require 4 sets of water supplies, 4 drains, 4 connections, and 4 carriers, plus 4 times the number of hours to do the install. Using a traditional 4-station wash fountain requires a width of only 46 inches and a depth off the wall of 26. Here, fixture sits on the floor and anchored to the wall, so no carrier is required. Wash fountains can also be used for both regular and barrier-free applications. Okay, so we'll start off with Acorn. Basically, the applications that we're targeting are education facilities, shopping malls, industrial buildings, secure facilities. And I should mention as well, if you have any questions at any point, please post them into chat, and I'll get Zach to bring them up. Again, I'd rather, through my experience, rather you ask them when they come up as opposed to waiting till the very end. So your traditional multi-lav installations, again, as I mentioned, your 2 to 4 lavatories are typically vitreous china, hand-operated, have wall-mounted soap dispensers. Again, we talked about multiple supply lines and drain outlets, carriers required, and lots of wall space. Your traditional wash fountains, I mentioned series numbers here, your stainless steel, 3 or 4 station, hand or foot operated. The one on the left is your foot operation. So each foot pedal operates one spray head. Recently had a contractor call about a repair on a unit that had 4 spray heads, but only 2 push buttons, 2 foot pedal valves. So basically that's an old style sectional where you step on one button and half the spray heads go off. Or if you really recall the old style wash fountains, you had the foot bar on the bottom and the 100 or so holes drilled into the head for your water to come out, so that whole ring of water flowed. So lots of flow rate to that. And again, if you want a soap dispenser, we also offer a push button soap dispenser. Your soap container is actually in the head of the wash fountain itself. You also get into circular 6 and 8 station wash fountains. Again, they're in stainless steel, again, hand or foot operated, as well as push button soap. Instead of having the black vinyl cladding, you can go just all stainless steel with no vinyl cladding as well. So that's another option for you. That's your 3506 and 3508 series. Then we get into your Terrazzo 3 and 4 station wash fountains. Again, in Terrazzo, we have multiple colors that are available that are standard, both hand and sensor operated, push button soap dispensers, and they're also barrier-free accessible. And again, this is your 3603 and 3604 series wash fountains. Again, when the contractor installs these, the heads, same with the stainless steel ones, very few pieces to assemble. Again, the head is one piece, the base is a secondary piece, and then the stainless steel comes out and it gives you access to all the plumbing in behind or within the unit itself.
So for the barrier-free accessible, just as we finish up on kind of the traditional wash fountain category, is it just the height of the lav that adjusts? Is there anything else that gets adjusted?
Yeah, it's mainly the height of the lav, and then on these ones here where you see the foot pedal kind of goes right, or the foot of the pedestal goes right down to the floor, that would be open to allow the wheelchair accessibility. So in that case, you're now getting into a wall hung. But that again would be your barrier free type.
And then
Again, we also have junior height as well. So if you had, for little kids, we do a 31-inch height as opposed to your 33 or, well, actually now it's just 33 for regular barrier free.
Yeah, and that would be great for like elementary schools, daycare, place like
Correct.
that. You mentioned the wall mounting available for some of the options. Are they all wall supply? Are there options around supply and vent and drain?
Well, typically on wash fountains, they're all going, both the supply and the drain are going back into the wall. Basically, the foot where it sits on the floor is open. If you needed to run it down through the floor, that would be the contractor's prerogative to do that. They would need to make the provisions to modify the plumbing to make those connections. There isn't anything that Acorn would do to modify that. We actually just come up with a similar request yesterday in that same regard. They didn't want to have, they had back-to-back units and didn't want to increase the wall to accommodate 2 supply lines, 2 drain lines. So they wanted to, again, go down through the floor. So again, there's room in there to do it. Just the contract will need to modify things on site to make it work.
Thanks. I think that's all the questions that have come up so far.
Okay. Moving on, we get into our solid surface materials, your 3633 and 3634 series, again in 3 and 4 stations. Our solid surface material, again, multiple colors available, same like the Terrazzo. Again, same operations that we have on the Terrazzo models. They're much lighter than their Terrazzo counterparts. Again, push button soap dispensers and then barrier free accessible. And again, these come in a couple of pieces when they're going through installation. And then we've got different variations to these. We've got corner models in all 3 material types. We now offer a deeper bowl as opposed to a shallow bowl. And again, on that deeper bowl unit, you see how the pedestal doesn't go all the way down to the floor. We do make a version of it that goes all the way down to the floor. And actually, that was the model that we were mentioning, that they wanted to go through the floor with waste and water supply. So again, if they have the foot support on the base of that, again, it's open enough where they can run their piping through. And then we also have the unit on the far right. It's got a wider footprint, so basically you've got 3 people standing shoulder to shoulder. So it takes up less of a protrusion coming off the wall, but just a little bit more width than what a traditional wash fountain would have. Talk about ancillary options. Again, thermostatic mixing valve is standard on our wash fountains. So you're running hot and cold to the wash fountain. If you're doing an existing project where you've got tempered water, we can supply single temp water supply only. So that's an option that we have. Standard flow rate of 0.5 GPM per push flow per spray nozzle. Again, multiple colors available for the Terrazzo and the Corterra. On the stainless steel, if you don't like the stainless steel look and you want it painted, we do offer our EnviroGlaze, and I think we've got about 12 different colors that we do on that. For operation, again, mentioned push button, we got foot operated, piezo button, battery operated. Typically you have a single drain outlet through the floor or back out through the wall, again, depending on the model number of wash fountain. Supply covers, so if you're dropping the supply, in the case of where you've got a circular wash fountain, if your supply is coming from the ceiling above down, we can actually supply a cover that goes from the wash fountain right up to the ceiling to hide all that piping, as well as going floor below through the back wall is an option as well. Custom variations on these units. No customization is available on these models, unlike when we get into our lavatory units. There are some customizations there, but with these models that we've gone through here, stainless, Terrazzo, and solid surface, basically what you see is what you get, and with the options that are shown.
So just a quick question on the options surrounding the operation. Barrier free is always going to come up in these, educational, whether it's high school, elementary, everything like that. Which of the operation models comply with barrier-free, like push button, and foot piezo battery, any, all, none?
All of them but the foot operated. So push button operates on less than 5 pounds of pressure. The piezo button, again, it's just touch sensitive. And again, it's either battery operated, could be a plug-in transformer. And so if you're going electronic with a sensor again, you wave it, works like any sensor operated faucet. So again, really the only one that wouldn't qualify for barrier free would be the foot operated.
And then on the flow rate side, are you guys feeling the push towards what I'm calling like the ultra low flow of 0.35? Is that something that's coming in this family of products?
You know what? I have yet to get a call on anything less than 0.5. As it relates to wash fountains, I know we're hearing more requests on electronic faucets where they want lower flow rates, but I haven't seen it yet on wash fountains.
And just let's fingers crossed it stays like that.
Yeah. True enough. Now, modern look to multi-station lavatories. Again, we'll talk about stainless steel to start with. Our DSW series, we do single station up to 4 station. Again, you'll notice on these ones, they take up a much wider footprint, sort of like a traditional multi-lav, or putting in multiple individual lavatories, as we pointed out at the beginning. But this is one station. Again, you've got one drain. You will have separate supplies to all your faucets. Again, on this particular model, the holes are are knockouts. So you've got a single hole or 3-hole 4-inch center set. There's also a knockout provision for a soap dispenser. So again, when the contractor's installing these, he'll knock out the required holes depending on what the faucet is. We have multiple aprons, whether they're single apron per faucet or per user station, or as you see on the upper right, basically there's 3 aprons. The 2 outer aprons serve individual users. The one in the middle is actually serving 2 users. Or you can have no apron underneath it at all, as you see in the 2 station mounted below. Carrier is not required unless you're putting it into a stud wall partition. On the back apron, there's a little return that goes up that actually has your mounting holes, and there are mounting holes below for anchoring it to a wall. So again, if you got block wall, no carrier required, but again, stud wall partition. If the client is okay with having reinforced plywood in behind it, you're okay there. If not, carriers are available to secure these up. We got a 3701 series or 3700 series. We do single station up to 4. Again, you notice on these ones here that the bowl kind of protrudes out with a narrow counter space. We have a drop-in circular bowl that goes in it. Again, hole punchings, single, 2-hole, or 3-hole 4-inch center set. Faucets are by Acorn, or it could be punched for any manufacturer's faucet. If you prefer to have a deck-mounted faucet versus having, as you see in these photos, the faucet mounted in the backsplash, one of the options is a D-shaped bowl, a stainless steel D-shaped bowl that would be dropped in, and that would give provisions to put a deck-mounted faucet in, as opposed to one mounted on the backsplash. And again, your apron below, it's one apron, covers all users. Again, you'll have individual drains coming off each bowl, but they are then tied into one drain outlet going out. And again, your water supply would be branched off to serve each faucet. Our 3711 series, again, stainless steel countertop, full countertop with integral bowls. Again, single station to 4 station. Again, same kind of backsplash for the faucet, but it could also have, again, a D-shaped bowl put in for your different hole punchings. Again, whether Acorn's providing the faucet or you're specifying your manufacturer of choice, that's always an option that's available there. Again, single apron that hides all your plumbing in behind. Both these models, the previous one and this one here, again, carriers are available for mounting if required.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that just came in. Just kind of clarify on the carriers. So and I know you've already answered this for me as well before, so I kind of know the answer. For block wall, for a concrete wall, no carriers really can be required for these, as stainless steel, pretty light product. But in a stud wall, they are going to need a carrier. Is there an option from Acorn where you just check the box and say yes, include a carrier? Should they specify it separately? If so, is there a specific model they should be looking for?
Yeah, I would recommend specifying it separately. With some of our brands under Morris Group, as a point, Whitehall offers what they call an MCM mounting carrier. We traditionally stay away from specifying the carrier as an option that comes with the fixture. And for the simple reason, when the contractor's ordering this, if he orders it with the mounting carrier, he's going to go through, he's going to want to put his carriers in first and then the fixtures in towards the finishing. If he waits and then realizes, oh, I forgot to put the carrier in, and meanwhile the walls are all finished. So it's always easier to specify the carrier separately, and we can give you specific model numbers based on the model number of the multi-station lab you're putting in. But it gives the contractor the option to order those carriers sooner if they're specified as a separate model, as opposed to an option with the wash mount, because they may forget to pull it out and say, hey, I need this carrier now, but I don't need the multi-lab for another 5 weeks.
Yeah, and the model number is going to change, so like you said, based on the number of stations. If this was just a single station, to try to put an image in any of the people on the call's mind, you might just think of like a lab carrier, like the plate carrier only, or urinal carrier, drinking fountain carrier. Similar versions going to be used, whether it's single, double, triple, etc. And they're asking about the wall spacing there. For any of those types of carriers, this is really just going to be the feet of the carrier that you need to fit inside the stud, which for most manufacturers is going to be under the 4-inch. So it'll fit within a 4-inch stud wall. So it'll be like 3 1/4, 3 1/3, something like that, depending on the manufacturer. So really just trying to fit the feet in between the wall. 3.5 inches, 4 inches is kind of what you're looking for there to make sure it fits in that space.
Yeah, so typically what you would see if you're looking at a single lab or a single station, a 3711 would be a single bowl. You'd have 2 legs for your carrier. When you get into the one in the upper right is a 3712, lower right 3713, and then a 3714. So when you get into 3 and 4 stations, you're going to end up having the carrier is really going to be made up of 4, maybe 6 legs that'll make up that carrier assembly. So again, depending on the number of users will dictate how big the carrier is, how many components are to it. Again, traditionally, you got 2 legs, 2 arms, or 2 legs and a back plate. It could be that on a 3714 that you might have 4 legs and 1 big long plate that covers the full length. So again, it'll be dependent on what the carrier manufacturer wants to supply for that particular model. I know through J.R. Smith, who we represent, the carriers would be specific to, again, they'd be tagged for a 3711 or a 3714, and would give you all the required dimensions. It would show the number of legs, how big the plate is. It's 1 plate. And again, as Zach mentioned, it'd be able to fit within a 4-inch stud wall. Getting into, again, still into the modern look, the 37, 72, 73 series. Again, it's either a 2-station or a 3-station. Again, these particular ones here are in Corterra, single hole, 2-hole punchings, 3-hole and 4-inch, or a 3-hole and an 8-inch center set. In these particular images that you're seeing here, they're sensor operated. So again, Acorn can provide the faucet, or again, if you want to have a manufacturer of your choice, maybe it's to match existing faucets that are in a facility. Again, we can make provisions for that. You'll notice again, they have different types of aprons. Some, one on the upper right, the apron goes right down to the floor, whereas the others, they're above the floor. Again, the one on the lower right is what we refer to as a scalloped enclosure on the bottom. And then underneath the bowls, they would be sealed off as well. So there'd be a plate, so you're not seeing any of the components from underneath. Again, any questions on the Acorn side of things before we go any further?
Nothing more that's come up so far after the carriers.
Okay. Next brand we wanted to talk about is Neo Metro. Neo Metro is more of our higher end, sort of your Class A office, your high end retail type product. Not only does Neo Metro do multi-station labs, we do stainless steel toilets, we do crystal encrusted toilets. As Beyonce knows, she's got one of our toilets in her house that's all Swarovski crystal attached to it. Again, we do different types of lavatories, whether they're stainless steel, glass, solid surface. In this case here, we're just going to talk about the multi-labs that they offer. Again, this particular model is the slab edge design that we refer to. It's a 3800 series. So a 3801, 3802, 3803. Again, a single up to a 3-station. Your sizes, you're looking at 30 inches to 80 inches in width on a 3-station. Again, your single hole, 2-hole, or 3-inch punchings for 4-inch center sets are 8-inch. Again, faucets are mounted on the deck. If you want to go with a wall-mounted faucet, that's possible, so the deck wouldn't have any punching whatsoever. But you'd have to make sure that the wall-mounted faucet that you're going with reaches far enough into the bowl so that the water is actually going into the bowl and not splashing onto the back of the backsplash or the back deck of the lavatory. Again, one drain, one apron that covers all users underneath, so everything's concealed. And again, whether we're supplying the faucet or faucet of your choice, the only thing Acorn or Neo Metro needs to know is whose faucet are you using, so we know what punching size we need to put in. I think we have multiple colors that are available for that. Getting into our slab edge design, the 9170 series is stainless steel. Again, single user, 2 and 3 user models available. Again, 4-inch, 3-hole or 8-inch center sets for 3 holes. Could be mounted on the deck or the backsplash if required. Again, Acorn with the faucets, or again, faucets by your choice. Common apron underneath, but individual panels for each user to access all the plumbing below. So again, it'll have pinhead torque screws that are holding those panels in place. Again, our 3812 or 3813 series, again, this is made in Corterra. You notice on the other models that basically the bowl area is one large bowl. On this particular series, there's a small divider between the users and individual drains for each one. Again, single hole, 3-hole, 4-inch center sets, or no faucet drilling at all. Again, if they wanted to go wall mount faucet, that's available. Again, just making sure that the faucet being chosen has far enough reach out into the bowl. And again, whether we provide the faucets or faucets by others, again, just need to know faucet punchings. And again, different colors available on these as well. Doesn't show well, but there is an apron underneath this that conceals all of the plumbing below. We get into our wedge series. Again, this is our solid surface type. Again, single user up to 3-station. Again, you're talking widths from 30-inch for a single up to 96 inches in width for a 3-station. Again, your different hole punchings, whether it's single hole, 2-hole, or 3-hole for 4-inch or 8-inch centers, or again, no holes punched into it. The top left one, you'll see it's got a Dyson wash and dry faucet that's coming off the wall. So again, nice clean surface on the deck. Again, has a common apron below that's on a hinge that swings down. So again, when it comes to servicing the faucet or the drain, for example, very easy to bring the apron down. We also have our wedge design in stainless steel, our WSW series. Again, single station up to 4 station. Again, 30-inch up to 120-inch width. It'd be one drain that serves single faucet or up to 4 users. Again, your punchings, single hole 3-inch, or 3-hole 4-inch center sets. Again, these offer a knockout for the soap dispenser if required. If not, they just leave the punching is there, it's etched in. Again, faucets by Acorn or Neo Metro or by others. Again, common apron below or individual aprons, depending on the number of faucets or number of users being provided for it. Again, as we talked about carriers before, carriers are available for all these different models. Again, if they're not going into block or concrete, again, carriers, we can deal with that as well. Carriers are not listed as an option on some of these, but it does show it. But again, to make it easier for the contractor when they're doing the install, is always specify the carrier, whether it's J.R. Smith or Watts. And then that way the contractor's not having any conflict with forgetting to order the carrier when he orders the basin. We get into our Verislab. This is a relatively new, within the last year, 18 months, our 9220 series. A lot of variables that we have for this. We're really excited about this particular model, whether it's a single station, 4 station, customizable from 30 inches up to 148 inches in width. So if you wanted to add additional counter space to the left or to the right, to maybe put a deck mounted baby change table, that's available with this type. Any hole configuration you want. We offer 5 different bowl types. Optional side splashes. Again, as I mentioned, extended ends for additional countertop space. And you can put Acorn's faucet or whatever faucet you choose. Again, whether it's wall mounted or deck mounted, it's available. The bowl types that you're seeing on these is either square, rectangular, a wedge or an edge style where it's sloping from front to back. And then we have oval and round basins. Whether you have a 4 station and you've got all 4 oval basins, or you want to be really different and put 4 different bowls in the one counter, we can accommodate whatever selection you want to go with.
You're doing a trial to see like which design most gets used. Just like how the second lav is the most common in a wash fountain type thing.
Yep. Yeah, if you had something where you wanted a child height, again, you would order a single station, a 9221, mount that at a lower height, and then if you had 3 more beside it, same model, but just a different mounting height on it. So when you look at the submittal drawings.
Sorry, I was going to ask, do all the different basin types meet the barrier-free codes across Canada, or is it just certain versions? Like, is any one deeper than the other, or does it affect barrier-free requirements at all?
They're all barrier-free. They are all shallow, so you shouldn't have any issues. Pretty much most codes are now calling for a 33-inch barrier-free height. So, and I don't think any of these bowls are more than 5 inches deep.
I think it's one thing that has come up with the unification of the barrier-free across Canada is the reach requirement as well. Keep it in 19 inches, I believe, from the front to the center line of the faucet. Do they all meet with that?
I believe they do, yeah. I will double check that, but in everything that I've seen, I've not seen anything different.
Great.
So when you're looking at the spec sheets for these, again, regardless of number of bowls you're going to have in, the requirement is you need to fill out the dimensions of what you need. So if you're going wall to wall on a 4 station, you're going to have your dimensions between users, dimension from the center of the first bowl to the wall or to the edge. What's that dimension? What's your overall width? Again, we offer carrier arms that go with this. It can be bolted to the wall. The spec sheet will also give you what your maximum distances are that you can run with, and your minimums for that matter. So again, you notice on here, the minimum distance between users is 26 inches from center line of faucet to center line of faucet. Again, different options that we have for these, again, either single lavatory or multi-lav coverage, hinged or removable panels for easy access. On those removable panels, there's actually a hinge pin that can be pulled to pull a whole panel out. That one on the left actually has a key lock. So again, it's not a screw, it's a key lock. And as you see on the right side, where we have a hinged access panel or apron, it's hinged. I've been to one job site where they had a custom apron done. It was big enough for a 5-width basin, and it was one apron secured to the wall with about 20 screws. Literally, you needed 2 people to remove and put the apron on. It could not be done by a single user. With our multi-users with a one apron underneath, basically, again, being hinged, it's one person is able to open the apron below and service whatever needs to be serviced. Again, we talked about carriers. Here's some typical carrier details. Again, if you're going into stud wall, what your minimum distances are that you're going to have. Again, this particular one was used for a 3-station. You'll see that it's got 4 legs. Again, the distances between legs would be noted on the drawing. And this would be the same for all manufacturers, again, whether it's Watts or Zurn or J.R. Smith. Again, this is one of the reasons why we mentioned specifying the carrier by carrier manufacturer, because they can pre-order ahead of time, get them installed and mounted, and that's just a matter of mounting the fixtures when they arrive. Different faucet options that we have available. Again, you got the Dyson Airblade, the wash and dry faucet, whether it's deck mounted or wall mounted. We also have a sensor operated soap dispenser, again, battery or plug-in, liquid or foam soap. And again, any faucet manufacturer that you wish to go with, again, we just need to know faucet punchings so we can drill them accordingly. And that's it. Below is my contact information. As Zach mentioned, my affiliation with ASPE on the VP Technical. So I handle all of our technical sessions. So if there's anything in particular that you want to hear about, by all means, please let us know. We do our sessions on a monthly basis. We do both in-person and virtual. We do have members that are outside of the GTA and actually outside of the province for that matter. So hence why we have the virtual presentations. But aside from that, that's all I've got to say for now.
I did want to check in on just one thing for that the last product that we talked about. I believe it was Corterra, and so they're integral basins. Are they
Correct.
a seamless basin? So would this be is it available without the overflow, making it a great selection?
Oh yeah, if we need to make it without overflow, not a problem. The basins are all integral.
Yeah. So that'd be a great option for like healthcare, say the public washroom.
There is something similar to this that we have as a 2-station that we have under the Whitehall branding, which basically goes wall to wall in an alcove. And again, that can be customized depending on what the size of the alcove that you have.
Fantastic. We'll give a quick pause and see if any other questions come in, and I'll prepare to show how people can find these products on the ATS Spec Tool. But thank you. That was a great intro. Love the deep dive into the products.
One thing I'll mention on the VeriSlab that we have here, one of the differences that we have insofar as manufacturer, typically when you get into custom, you're going into 6 or 8 weeks. The way the molding was done for these, again, if you wanted to add more space between the bowls or added extended countertops, basically we've come up with an adjustable mold system that we're not having to make basically molds from scratch every time we do a modified fixture, which is typically what we have to do now with most of our other basins. With the VeriSlab, again, we've got one mold system that we can adjust. So your lead times are far less than what you would typically look at on a modified what would be classified as a modified fixture?
Well, I think it's a great option for like universal or family washroom design as well. The ability to have, say, a single or even a double with a change table on the side, an integral change table area is a really nice design that's probably going to be pretty popular.
Yeah, and you can have the end caps. So you got the backsplash, you got the front apron, you can have side apron. So if it's exposed on an end, you can have that end sealed off, so you're really not seeing the underside of the countertop. So
I will take over screen sharing for now.
okay.
We can switch back over if any other questions come in. But I did want to take just a couple minutes at the end of the presentation here, just to go over, the ATS Spec Tool. If this is your first time at an ATS University, thanks again for joining us. Hopefully, you learned something valuable, and you'll come back again for our next session. As you can see on our homepage here, we're highlighting the fact that we have weekly, well, nearly weekly. We take about a week off a month, webinar series that we host for our engineers and architects. The ATS Spec Tool really is designed with the engineers and architects and interior designers in mind. It's a free product selection tool that not just allows you to see the base model selection, but actually configure your options and get the specific model number that you've selected, all the drawings, details, long spec, short spec, schedules, Revit files, brochure formats, all in one place. The general premise of kind of combining a number of different aspects of the industry. You could go to the Acorn website and download the base manufacturer spec sheet for the products we talked today. You can go to BIM Object or any of the other Revit depositories to find a specific Revit model that may have some of the options that you've selected. You can try to do a takeoff from that manufacturer spec sheet to get the info you need for a fixture schedule, or you can go to a third party that maybe you pay for, like a master spec or whatever else they're called these days as people get purchased and change names. You can get that written information, and that's all going to be static and based on the base model. It's not going to be the configured selection that you've selected. Say if you're putting that barrier free height or the junior height in, anything like that. So really that's what we do. We paid for by the manufacturers. Jerry, as an example, or any of the manufacturers that are showing here on our homepage, they are sponsoring to be on our service so that we have their product information, which means that we do get some of the data updates a little bit faster than normal. We try to push those updates out and keep your specs and masters up to date. So you can log in. Once you log in, you'll be in your kind of firm's account, so you can share projects within the firm. Before you log in, you can go to this Architects and Engineers tab. You can view our templates where we have essentially an ATS master for an application. So a high school master or a daycare master, or we've got class A, B, C office masters that are available that you can use to help build your projects. You can also go to the Learning Hub, go to the webinar recordings, and that'll take you to these pages here where we've got all these different templates put together. You can go to the webinars and view the previous webinars that we put together. Lots of great product info here, lots of great application info here, all available before you even log in. Once you log in, you'll see you're in, I'm in my demo engineer account here. This is going to be your home page where it's going to show you your previously created projects. It might show you application info that's important to you. You have a quick action tab where you can get started. The general premise of the spec tool is essentially create a folder of one type or another. The level of detail that you put in that folder is really what changes it from a quick spec to a project to a master. And then start adding product to that folder. So the quick spec is the fastest way. We could just be looking for a simple wash fountain. We'll type in whatever you want to call the quick spec title. You get in your product category page. You can see I've already pinned my wash fountain category. These are my repeat products, so I can pin those products. If I'm using them regularly, I can search for the product. If I know the model number off by heart, you can search for model number in here. I'm not going to put Jer on the spot, but we'll go into the multi-lav wash fountain category. We can then filter down. We see that 3506 DBS that we talked about, the deep bowl. That's more and more commonly selected products. But we could filter down to manufacturer if we want to see just the Acorn product. If we want to filter down by number of stations, we can do so as well. But we can configure this selection now. Let's go with our hand operation. We'll go with a, what's the most common vent and supply option here? Jared, bottom supply, I guess. We'll go.
Sorry, that would be bottom supply.
Bottom supply, we'll do vent through fixture. We talked about the soap dispensers that's available, so we can select a soap dispenser. We need that black vinyl clad enclosure. So we're selecting our options, and then that will update our model number. If you want to see more detail on the options, more detail on the fixture, all the manufacturer spec sheets are linked within the system. So this will just pop up and you can confirm any of the options or details that you need. But you can see we've updated, we've selected all their models. If we want the junior height or anything like that, we can do so. Hit add product, and then you've added that product into your folder. There might be a fixture chain that pops up depending on the product type. You can see it recommends a supply be provided with this product so that you can configure the selection. But we'll hit complete for now. You don't have to choose the supply. You can select it or not. That's true with every other product on their system. We can adjust this to say WF1. And then, in a matter of minutes here, we took a little extra time. We'll just check this box, download, and we can download in submittal, brochure, schedule, long spec, short spec, manufacturer spec, Revit, 3-part spec, whatever you need, all available for download. And all free for you to select and download. Now, I talked about the different levels of folders. So that's our quick spec. It's a really, just basic product entry. There's no barrier-free code because we don't know where it is. If we create a project and we add a location, we select an application type. So this is one I kind of pre-set up. We've got our wash fountain and multi-labs here, built in Toronto. It's a high school. I got a bid date selected, so the system's going to keep it up to date up until 10/10/24. And if I click in on this, I could share this project with Jerry. We can both be working on it at the same time. I could go through that same add new product thing where I've got my same pin categories. I could search for one of the other models here. What was that first one we went through? Was that 3543 or something like that? Am I way off? We'll go 35. So we see all the different versions of those. We can go with the 3543 here. I was bang on, Jer. I don't know why you doubted me. We'll go with the on-floor wall outlet. That's what Jer said was the most popular. We now select our piezo button if we wanted. We can again go back over to our PDM liquid soap. Select any other options you need. We can change this to junior height. Let's do that for now. Again, going to update our model number. If there's list price in the system, we'll include that. We'll add product, same method. So we've always had this kind of configuration option available where you can, get into the category, make those selections. But what my team does, the market development team, is work with the PNGs, your principals, your team leads, or your application leads to help set up what we call our masters. So you can see I've set up like a wash fountain master here. You can have as many or as few masters as you want. Some people may set up like application specific masters, like a pharma. If you're doing a lot of condos, you might even have specific fixtures that in styles that are more common for condo owner A versus condo owner B. And you can have a master for each of them. And the nice thing is those masters are always kept up to date. There's no tender date like we talked about it previously. And that used to be one of the only advantages that we had was, it just kept everything up to date, made sure your teams working off of approved selections. But now what we have is the ability, we launched recently, we call this the MQAD. It's our Masters Quick Access Drawer. you go to the plus button, and instead of going to create new drawing, which takes us to those tiles, we go to the masters and templates. And here you have access to all those masters that you've set up on your account. So if I expand this down, we can see we've got all these different products. You can hover over, gain more info, and these would be the pre-approved selections that you as the team lead selected. Then when your EITs come in and they're told, hey, you've got an hour to put together this project file, we need to get our specs out before the end of day. They could come and say, okay, we've talked about it. They need the solid surface. They need a triple high-end one, or they need the stainless steel one. And we can just drag and drop these right over into our system. We could take a single fixture as well if we want to put a second option here. We selected a sensor operated, or selected our piezo. We want to present a sensor operated one as well. So we've got very similar product selections here. We want to present two options to the owner group and say, hey, do you want sensor operated or do you want a push button? Just hit the edit button. Let's go to the piezo push button option, and we'll hit add product. And now in a matter of seconds, we've gone from nothing to a complete project file with options that then they can review. So we can put sensor, and we can put push button, and then they can review these in your meeting. You download a product brochure and a manufacturer spec sheet. We'll just take these two, and let's do a manufacturer spec sheet. So a couple different formats, download them all at once, and you'll get a number of different ways that you can have a review meeting with your team. Additionally, you can see it's starting to populate here. You'll get a zip folder that has all of them, or you can select individually on the side and download the individual files. So let's just do the submittal here for a second. If you're unfamiliar with the ATS submittal format, essentially it was born out of combining multiple manufacturers, but here you can see when we have just the one, we have all the options on the left, shows the marked off options of what we've selected, so we can review with them all the details that we need. And this is great for a review meeting. They may come back and say, okay, we want single temp only on this. Okay, let's put the single temp in. Let's add this option, that option. Okay, then you come back, make your revisions, and you're good to go. Ahead of time, I see I'm running a little bit long here. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Let's go into the folder that I downloaded earlier. So here's a folder of that complete project with submittals, schedule, Revit, product brochure, manufacturer spec sheet, long spec, and CSI. Let's do the written formats first. We'll show you our long spec, which is kind of our internal nomenclature on how to write a spec. All pre-generated, gives you nice details, everything's editable. You just copy and paste and put into your own internal spec section. If you want slightly different formatting, if you're using that 3-part master spec format, here's a format that matches it. Again, you copy and paste it into your documentation. You can add any alternates, changes, anything that you need on the system there as well. So you get great verbiage that you can put right onto into your spec, or you can use a verbiage that puts into your drawings. So if you're doing a schedule and drawings type format with a generic written spec, you can do so just with this. One of the great things about our schedule format is it will actually tailor to the type of product you have. If you have backflow, water heaters, pumps, fixtures, and accessories all in one project, you will get different tabs with different headers for all those different types of product. Here again is the submittal format. Then we get into our product brochure format. So if they want a nice bigger image that you can review, you can put multiple on one page, 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on how many products you're trying to present. And then what I love is the manufacturer spec sheet format. So if you're doing a shop drawing review meeting, it shows exactly what you've selected with the manufacturer spec sheets, all the different details. So yeah, that is, we'll call it the brief overview of the ATS Spec Tool. Really love the new Masters feature, which allows you to take from the pre-selected options. I'll show you again real quick. If we go to application templates, let's go and filter down to our educational facilities. We could take, all our mechanical room equipment. We could go into our classroom area and select, a basic classroom fixtures, edit, revise after from at least a general approved product. Cafeteria, change rooms, locker rooms, accessories, bathroom, all those different products that, again, you can just kind of drag and drop over. You need an eye wash, you can do so as well. So yeah, that's the spec tool. Nice and easy to take from the pre-approved selections into current projects. Just as simple to search for what you need and configure. If you have any questions on the spec tool, need help getting your master set up, or would like to get your account set up in general, please reach out to me, Zach at atsspec.com. I'll put you in touch with whoever from my team is covering that area. And of course, if you would like this presentation today, specifically for your team, if you were doing a lot of educational facilities, high school, schools, or you're doing some of the new Class A office facilities that you wish to learn more about the wash fountains we covered, reach out. We'll be happy to coordinate with Jerry and get a lunch and learn at your firm. And if you have a current project that you need help with, where you want to select to configure this product, review all the detailed options, get the carriers and everything like that, reach out to either myself and Jerry. We'll get those selected and configured for you. In the meantime, we'll have the certificate of attendance set out on Friday. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Jerry. That was wonderful as always. Always
Thank you.
New anytime you do a presentation.
My pleasure. Thanks everyone for attending. Appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll have a great one.
Bye for now.